We were in New York City yesterday. Now we're going to Keesby, New Jersey again. 3 out of the 4 days this week. So there's a lot of product going up to the New York City area. That's Kirk that I just waved to. Some guys have all the luck. And how do we feel about those guys? And how would we feel about ourselves if we were one of those guys or girls? So the relationship we have with our subconscious is what I was exploring yesterday. That determines how we feel about other people who seem to have good fortune, and how we accept ourselves if we have good fortune. And some of us don't accept good fortune, and we sabotage ourselves for a lot of different reasons. And interestingly, if you get down to the bottom of this issue, it almost determines whether you're fiscally conservative or fiscally liberal in the traditional bullshit way we use those words. Whether we think other people deserve what they deserve, or if we deserve what we deserve. And it's a very deep issue, and it isn't just related to money. And if there's a way to unite people across political aisles, this might be it. This kind of thinking about abundance, how we feel about abundance, whether we're stingy or whether we're generous, I think comes down to the kind of relationship we have with our subconscious minds. So we'll unpack that as the day goes on. There's Alberto. I thought maybe you'd like to see what it looks like going down Turkey Hill at the beginning of the day, because you often see the end of the day coming up the hill. So I just took my pit stop over there at the Porta-John, and I'm here at the fuel island. You've seen that from the other side. I was greeted this morning by seeing my fuel cap. My fuel cap doesn't have, this is an older truck, and the chain that connects the fuel cap to the tank is missing. And so I forgot for the first time, and I feel defensive about it, I forgot to put my fuel cap back on, and somebody found it where I left it on top of the fuel pump at the fuel island, and they, instead of putting it back on for me, so I would have been blissfully ignorant, they made sure to put it on the running board next to the fuel tank, so on my truck, so I would see it. And I can understand how that, you know, you want to know that you were a dumb shit, that you forgot to put your fuel cap back on. This could have been a mechanic, could have been another driver, I don't know who it was, probably never know. And so then you're confronted with your own mistake that you've made. And that's where my subconscious mind, based on all of my childhood wounds, that's where I go into overdrive. Like, oh, I fucked up again. I must be a fuck up. And
in 1/4 mile, arrive at home on the right.
She doesn't know where we're going. I already made sure it was working. I came down this hill the other day in the pouring rain. There's going to be a running race through here, and so they have this sign to tell us 1-lane road on the 7th of May. Turkey Hill's a pretty steep hill, so with a full load, I haven't touched the brakes yet, but the Jake is taking all all of the work. So I felt like whoever put my fuel cap not back on my tank, but so I could see that I'd forgotten to put it back on. I'm wondering, you know, what kind of a relationship does that person have with his subconscious? Because some people feel that they are more valuable when they point out mistakes that other people are making. We may be that person sometimes. I've noticed with coaches, like athletic coaches and teachers, I've noticed that sometimes they feel that their point in life is to correct people. Ballet teachers, I've seen this. Or taekwondo instructors. Or baseball coaches. They may feel like the point of their existence is to straighten us out, to show us where we're, not where we're fuck-ups, but where we've demonstrated that we need to be corrected, because you don't know what you're doing wrong. How do you fix it? But there's a deeper psychological meaning there. If you think about how you feel when you're correcting someone and when you're being corrected, there's a kind of hierarchy that happens. The person with more power is the one noticing the fault, and some people gain power, garner power, by correcting other people's faults, and they get off on it. They get their dopamine rush from fixing things. That power exchange, and to me, at this point in my life, it gives me a sick feeling in the pit of my stomach. The safety people in a trucking company often have that relationship with the drivers. Their job is to show you where you screwed up, and then, have you assumed the position. Oh yes, I screwed up. I will try much harder. Or not like that, kid. I don't want you to feel like that. I just want you to see, where you can improve. And then you have that kind of feeling inside that, oh, I need to improve. And we all do, but it puts you in this interesting dynamic with the person who points it out to you. And as a lifelong teacher, I'm really interested in how it works. That feeling. I've noticed that the way other people relate to me, like conducting teachers in a conducting workshop, which I've done as a grown-up. It wasn't all in the beginning of my conducting career. I've gone back for workshops. Continuous improvement, right? And you get to go to some exotic place and meet new people, and it's a lot of fun. But you have that dynamic of the master teacher helping other people who are well along in their careers figure out even more refinement. Sometimes they'll put their hand on your wrist as they're helping you, or on your shoulder. And this is very common in dance. You have people guiding you physically to the physical movements you need to make. And again, that dynamic comes up of the person correcting someone else. And the relationship the person, the guide, has with his or her subconscious, and the relationship the student has with their subconscious, it's fascinating. I wonder, as I'm enduring that, being corrected, it changes sometimes. I have to work on how I feel about myself as I'm being guided. And if I have those wounds from who knows where, maybe even other lives, past lives. I have to work through first the idea that it's okay, that I need to be corrected, and then accept the correction and become more adept at whatever I'm doing. If you think, and this is all precursor to the idea that some people have more luck. Some people can accept their own faults and not even see them as faults, just as opportunities. Some people can accept those opportunities for growth because of the relationship they have with their subconscious. They can say, oh, it's great. I'm so glad to have this opportunity to learn something new. And at our best, we're all able to do that. And at our worst, we're crippled by somebody trying to correct us. And I'm wondering, do I allow myself to experience abundance? Or do I have this fear reaction that if I get to a place where I'm really good at things and don't need to be corrected very much, will I resent myself? Will I resent my own success? And then I hold myself back because I'm not sure I deserve it. I'm not sure I'm worthy of it. And when somebody has to correct me, then I feel like, oh, maybe I'm not worthy of it. Look, I left the fuel cap off. But look, I have, my turnout is messed up when I'm learning to dance, or some other thing when I'm doing something in sports. And you have to get over the feelings of unworthiness before you can thrive and benefit from the teaching. Now I'm coming up to a railroad crossing. You can hear that sound. And a speed limit change. And then there's another one up ahead. And it's interesting. When you go through all those all day and the system is watching you, our safety system knows if we're going the speed limit. Like right now I'm going 1 mile an hour too fast. And I'm watching myself to make sure I'm complying. And other people can watch me. There are cameras in the truck. They can watch to see how they can hear me speak if they wanted to hear me. They can see the road ahead of me. They can see what you see. All of this scrutiny, all of this judgment, if that's how you look at it. You know, they know if I just made that shift smoothly. They know if I got slowed all the way down for the 25 mile per hour. All this examination, if you have a shaky relationship with yourself, all of that's going to affect you negatively. And it affects how you believe you deserve to be rewarded or punished by the universe. And again, when you don't have a good relationship, this is from yesterday, you sabotage yourself. You don't allow. And not only do you sabotage your own emotions, I believe you can sabotage life's circumstances, weather and everything else. I told that to my partner yesterday, and she was dubious. Oh, I don't know that we can control all that. And some of you will think that way, and others will agree that of course you can. Of course you can change the course of history in every way by the kind of relationship you have with yourself. My question for you is, how do you react to people who are better than you at some skill? Or how do you react to people who are more fortunate than you are? Someone who has all the luck. Someone who has more success in dating, or more success in work, or in time management. I'm reminded of a student I used to have.
There is currently light traffic on your route.
Her name is Sue. It's funny to think that she's probably, well, she's middle-aged now. It's funny to think of a middle-aged Sue. And Sue syndrome, in my head, I've named it that, is envy when someone else is really good at something. In my methods classes back in the day, for student teachers, for each other in their methods classes. And I remember the day when there was a student who was being very successful with something he was doing. He really had it down on the one lesson he was teaching his peers. And I remember Sue saying, "I hate you." And everyone laughed. It was like, we all knew what she meant. It meant this kid had his act together, and it made her feel inferior. It made her feel self-loathing because she didn't have her act together the way he did. So she envied him for that. And even though we all understood her feelings, I remember stopping everything and needing to explore that. What is that feeling where we hate ourselves when we see someone else's success? Because if we figure out how that works, I think it puts us in a place where we can accept more abundance, more prosperity, more success into our own lives. If our relationship with our own subconscious, is what I'm getting at, is healthier, then we'll allow more abundance into our lives. So I submit, and I did then, that Sue was blocking the universe from blessing her because of how she felt a colleague, her peer, who did something really well that day. He was really well prepared and had, at least for that lesson, had his shit together. And his point, I don't think, was to make anyone else feel bad. I think he was glad that he was successful. Now, his relationship with himself very likely could have been more positive than Sue's was with herself. And I'm guessing that over the years, if Sue is able to come to grips with how she feels about herself,
Police reported ahead.
and I don't know what her childhood was like, I don't know anything about what led her to feel that way about herself when she saw her colleague so successful. But I'm willing to bet that if she finds a different relationship with herself, then it would be much easier for her to perform at a higher level in her life, and that it would be easier for her to have all the luck if it's circumstances. It could be skill, it could be the way you take care of your own body, it could be the way you plan for your teaching, it could be the way you see that everyone else seems to have better circumstances than you do. And if we are all powerful, which I believe we probably are, you can change your luck by the kind of relationship you have with yourself. So I don't know if I'll ever have a conversation with Sue again. I think we may be Facebook friends. I should go look. But my relationship with myself is all powerful, I believe. So if I end up coming to grips with how I feel about other people's luck, other people's success, other people's preparation, I will find that my own circumstances are changing. I was talking earlier about being a fiscal conservative or a fiscal liberal. How I feel about success, if I believe that I deserve success or not. If I believe that everyone should be equal, that's tricky, because if you feel that manifesting is possible, if you feel it's possible to change your own circumstances by how you view yourself and how you view the universe, you won't feel envy. You won't have Sue syndrome. But if you believe life happens to you and you can't control anything about it, then the way you look at politics would be different. You would think that it's the government's job to even the playing field and make sure nobody gets to a place where you can envy them. And I know that sounds horrible because I've been a leftist since I was born. I don't know how that happened based on my upbringing, but I'm often in agreement with radicals, whether they think they're on the right or on the left. And I do believe that we humans, regular humans, ought to own the means of our own production, which is very left. But at the same time, I'm looking at this idea that if individuals can figure out how it all works, which is what I hear my fellow truck drivers saying, then why should other people be allowed to limit them? So you're looking at all of this, the way the world works, and you usually come down one of two ways. In one way of thinking, you want everyone to have equal opportunity, of course, but in a way you don't want anyone to get too far ahead of anyone else. And if the whole point of the universe is abundance and manifesting abundance, then it could be construed, your reaction could be construed as envy. You don't want anyone else to get too far ahead of you. And that's how political conservatives think about political liberals. They think not only are they bleeding hearts and want everyone who doesn't deserve it to be as far ahead as the people who do deserve it by virtue of their hard work, but maybe even by virtue of their manifesting ability, by virtue of the work they do with their inner child and their subconscious mind, in the way that they can figure out how to get the universe to bless them. And you can't make anyone else get it. You can lead the horse to water, but you can't make everyone figure out how the universe works and choose that kind of relationship with it. So this is a sticky wicket. You're trying to figure out how you feel about it. It has religious implications too. I remember my dad saying that if you don't work, the Bible says you don't deserve to eat. And there are all sorts of political ramifications to that kind of thought. In my case, it's not easy. It's not easy to just say, well, this is how I feel about it. In my thinking, I have, well, on one hand, I feel this, and on the other hand, I feel that. And the two hands are really far apart. I don't think it's easy to just say, I'm a liberal, or I'm a conservative, or I'm a Democrat, or a Republican, or a leftist, or a progressive, or a libertarian. In some ways, I'm all of those, depending on the issue and depending on my relationship with myself and my relationship with the universe. It ain't easy. And I think it behooves all of us to keep our minds open and to figure out for ourselves, to figure out our own relationship with our subconscious and with the universe. Try to figure out how to be abundant and successful and not worry about other people's envy, which is really hard for me. Not to worry how other people will react to my luck, to my success, to my prowess at whatever it is. I just want to learn to be happy in my own skin, to be happy, and to be happy when other people are criticizing me or envious, to be happy if they point out my faults. And if I can figure that all out, I don't need other people's impedance. I don't need their interference. I don't need their reactions like Sue's. I hate you. I don't, I guess that's on them. I can't change the way they feel either. Codependency, if you're a bleeding heart, in a way, you're advocating universal codependency. I hate to give people that ammunition, but I don't have a good rebuttal for that idea. I'm, for myself, going to try to figure out how to be abundant without worrying about what other people think about it. I'm going to be able to draw boundaries and not put up with other people's bad reactions to my positive attitude and my good manifesting ability, and let the chips fall. Let everyone figure it out. I'll be glad to give pointers to anyone who asks me, but I don't feel a messiah complex, and I have before in my life as a teacher of teachers. I thought, okay, I'm going to save the world. I put on my cape every morning and my tights and my mask and tried to figure out how to save the world from itself with my Bernie or Bust channel that evolved into Howl Underground. That zeal came through. But that's codependent zeal, I think. You may disagree. And now I'm thinking to myself, well, let everyone do as well as they can, and I'll do as well as I can, and we'll see where we all end up. Which sounds in a way like free market capitalism. It does. It really sounds like that. So I'm torn, conflicted. I hope you are too. And I really welcome your comments. Political, religious, relational, whatever you like. Good day to mow.
Turn right on River Road. In 2.5 miles, arrive at home, on the right.
Got my Jake on. There we go. Flowers for sale. There you can see that river bend. You can't, but I can. Take my word for it. And come visit sometime. It'll be good for your soul.
In 3/4 of a mile, arrive at home, on the right.
So we started today coming down the hill on camera, so we've come all the way back.
In 1/4 mile, arrive at home, on the right.